Hey there. I guess it's a little weird to be working on a video, but upon recently encountering some free time, I re-downloaded Frontier and I've really been enjoying it. I bought the Bandito and made a few quick personal bests, but nothing too serious. Until the last couple days I haven't been able to record, so I can't show you any of my runs, but that problem's all solved now. Anyways, I'm going to just use this video to talk about whatever Trials Frontier related things I want to. One section could be about me and my personal experience with the game. Another could be about this track specifically and what little tricks I've picked up on in the last 3 years. Who knows, we're just going to go with it. My general goal for this video is to make a video I would want to watch as a viewer. I've referred to my top 10 tutorials videos as episodes before, but looking at the length of this video and all the topics I'll be able to cover in this time, I really do feel like this can be considered an episode. Thinking more about the format of this video, I guess it could be considered a podcast of sorts. Watch, listen, do whatever. I'm glad you're along for the ride. First, I'm going to talk about this footage. This is mostly uncut footage of me playing the Grindhouse. I'm saying mostly uncut because I sped up a few parts that I stopped playing for 20 seconds or so at because I was either talking to someone or focusing on my TV show. I'm in the middle of watching Grey's Anatomy, if any of you care. But other than that, it's nothing but a full grind session. The reason I'm not uploading only my new record is because I feel like I always upload highlight videos and personal bests, and while this video ends with a new personal best, I wanted to show what a typical grind session looks like. While I wish making runs like this took minimal effort, they don't, and this is a good example of that. This run took about 2 hours to make. A 2-hour clip would not only be slightly overkill, but it would also be a huge file size, not to mention the fact that I don't think I could talk for 2 hours about anything. As a general rule, I try and restart my recordings every 45 minutes or so my file sizes don't get too big. Unfortunately, the charging port on my phone has recently developed connectivity issues and my Lightning USB to QuickTime recording option is no longer viable. So for the last couple weeks I've been unable to record. But recently, Mike Grant suggested that I figure out how to use AirShoe to record my runs. He then helped me troubleshoot for longer than he probably would have liked, and as a result, I now have another option to record until I get a permanent fix for my charging port. Thanks, Mike. Now, about the track. The Grindhouse admittedly is the track that I've played more than any other track in the whole game. I've played here more than Sewage Treatment, my favorite track, more than Crane Yard, my longest single session grind, and more than 3 Bridges, the toughest time saver. The Grindhouse has everything going for it, and here's why. Playing the Grindhouse, frontier-wise, is great financially. I have the 2 coin suits, I've got loads of double coin magnets and rarefied fuel, and I even have a 510 gas tank, which I'll discuss how I got later, since people are constantly asking. So if I play here for a while, I can really rack up the coins. It's not unusual for me to make 500,000 coins in a few hours. That's not the best part though. The Grindhouse is great for gems. When I select a certain part of the loot wheel and spin it a certain way, I can semi-consistently land on the gems sliver of the loot wheel. It may not be as fast as Tapjoy, but it's very reliable and you can earn them by playing instead of filling out a survey. If I'm being honest though, the reason I've spent so much time at the Grindhouse is because the track gives out loads of experience. I've wanted to reach level 60 ever since I hit level 50, and I knew it would take a lot of playtime to get to where I am now. So here are a few facts to consider. I get 2,596 experience each race I finish at the Grindhouse. To give you some perspective on how much this is, I get 13,475 experience for beating one Anba Ghost. Seeing as it takes around 30 to 45 minutes to beat an Anba Ghost, it's a much better use of my time to play 6 races at the Grindhouse, which gives me more experience and only takes maybe 3 to 4 minutes. Upon reaching level 60, I noticed that the ratio of time spent to quality of run is far higher than I'd have liked. So today I did something about that and improved my time. Although I can improve more, I'm happy with my run. Having played the track in a fairly relaxed state all this time, it was an interesting change of pace to become a little more focused on improving my time instead of just trying to hit all the checkpoints and finish the track. In retrospect, the part of the track that gave me the most trouble is the ending. You'll see this on a lot of my failed runs and even my new PB at the end of the video. The ending of my old Ghost is really clean, so when I get ahead, it's not like I'm really ahead. The rest of my run just has to compensate for the time that my Ghost will gain on me at the last checkpoint. I don't know really how interesting this is to anybody else, but these are the things that are going through my head when I'm racing. Okay, so I'm not close to my Ghost right now, and with my Ghost's fast ending I can't improve, I've got to restart now. Or I don't know, there are just a lot of subconscious things like that that happen while I'm playing that I never really think about unless I'm actually explaining it to somebody else. I guess that's kind of why these videos are fun to make, because it makes me reflect on how I play, which in turn spurs growth. But anyways, I was just talking about my gas tank being a whopping 510 units. I guess that's what it would be for gas. But I'll admit that is a little crazy as far as gas tank size. I've gotten lots of comments about this, and understandably so. Having a limited amount of gas can definitely impede your progress in the game. So the question is, Carter, how did you get your gas tank to be that size? That's a fair question, and I'm tired of answering it, so I'll address it in a video, or this video. I'm not entirely sure when it happened, but I want to say it was in mid-2015 that there was a gem exploit glitch. To make this glitch work, you had to watch an advertisement for 500 coins, close the app, reopen it, open an ad for 1 gem, and the game would essentially mix up the two currencies and you would get 500 gems instead of coins. It was a crazy exploit, and loads of people got thousands and thousands of gems, but it was patched after a couple weeks. I obviously was one of those people that got lots of gems. I think I may have ended up feeling a bit guilty about using the exploit, so I spent almost all my gems on a 500 capacity gas tank so I wouldn't have to worry about being questioned about having thousands of gems. Plus, I wouldn't have to worry about running out of gas ever again. I don't feel like it was the right thing to do, but the damage is done. If anybody from Red Links is watching, I'm really sorry. I've bought loads of golden tickets and I've bought the Bandito, so that has to count for something, right? Speaking of the Bandito, I think that this is a good time to talk about it. At the time that this video is being made, the Bandito isn't available to free-to-play players. The moment that a game adopts a pay-to-win scheme is the moment that people begin to lose interest. Loads of top players have told me they're losing interest in the game, a large part being because of this new pay-to-win model. As for me, I'm not going anywhere, but I am hopeful that the blueprints will eventually become available via storyline or in the bunker or something along those lines. For me, something that fits into the same category as the Bandito are the KTM bikes. My opinion that the KTM bikes are a horrible addition to the game is one that I've made very public. I've posted on the forums about it, the Trials Frontier Facebook group, also known as TFG, and I'll talk to anyone that's curious about it. But for the sake of clarity, here's a little background on my stance. In the game, the KTM bikes ride just fine, and before they were added to the Frontier, I didn't have a negative opinion of the KTM brand. The KTM bikes were made to be faster than the existing normal bikes as a tribute to how awesome real KTM bikes supposedly are. This is understandable. It's an ad. But, to avoid a fiasco, it wouldn't have been hard to add a separate leaderboard, like the Crazy and Donkey leaderboards for these KTM bikes. It's such a simple fix that A, wouldn't limit KTM exposure, and B, wouldn't piss off players that worked hard for their records on the normal bike leaderboard. While I understand that the game needs to evolve, this was a poor business decision that could have been turned into a slam dunk by simply adding the KTM bikes to the Crazy Bike leaderboard, or by giving them their own. Records that could still be standing today were essentially wiped from the leaderboards because of one poor choice by the developers. I'm disappointed by this, and I will always be disappointed by this. I'm sure lots of you have heard my opinion on the matter. I just wanted to give a bit of background info for those of you who haven't heard it so you can understand my explanation for why I chose to purchase a bike that is essentially doing the same thing that the KTM bikes did to the normal bike leaderboards all over again. So yes, the KTM addition to the normal bike leaderboards was unfortunate, and yes, I think the general anger from many of the top players could have been avoided. But when I was making the decision to buy the Bandito, I thought about why I play. I play because I love the game. It has great physics, a mostly functional leaderboard, fun time savers, and a competitive and active community. But most of all, I play to compete. I love to try and push my times as far as I can. That's what's kept me playing, and that's what will continue to keep me playing. In buying the Bandito, I am able to continue to compete. Another thing about the Bandito that should definitely be considered is that it gives the Tier 1 leaderboards the diversity that was stripped from them when the KTM was released. After the release of the KTM, many Bronco tracks became KTM tracks, which sucked because the KTM was supposed to be an agile bike. To me, this change made a lot of Tier 1 feel bland. But with the addition of the Bandito, most of those speed bike tracks that became agile tracks after the release of the KTM are now being returned to the speed bike side of things. So I guess if I had to have some underlying point to all this Bandito talk, I'd say my desire to compete is why I bought the Bandito. I'm very hopeful it will eventually become available to free-to-play players so everyone can compete, not just those who funnel money into the game. So yeah, I guess that's enough about that. Okay, so recently the 3-year anniversary of the release of Trials Frontier happened, which is crazy. It feels like it's been both so much longer and so much shorter than that. I've gotten so much enjoyment out of the game, and I'm stoked that, believe it or not, my dad found it on some Macintosh website and mentioned it to me. Neither of us had any idea what I was getting into. I've already spoken about the economic possibilities of this track, but I haven't talked about how it plays and what tricks have really helped me out. I think that the flow of this track is great and it has some cool physics objects and time savers. When you play a track a lot of times, you see more of what it has to offer. My favorite thing about how this track rides is that at the start there's a mini time saver that definitely shouldn't work. You may have noticed this just by watching over the last 10 minutes or so, but if you do a front flip at the start and stay super low, you can clip your fender on the rock, which boosts you a bit further forward than you would go normally. If you don't catch your fender on the rock, your back wheel will hit on the exploding barrels, which is intuitive. This is probably what should happen anyways. It's pretty luck-based, but I hit it once every few minutes or so. If you haven't seen it already, then look out for it. It's pretty cool. Another little trick that I just really like about this track, makes a lot of sense, but I never thought about it until recently. It works at a few tracks. When you get a bad jump onto the spinning wheel, then hit your brake button. Oh, just like that. I just did it. And with your front wheel touching the spinning wheel, your bike will catch and the spinning wheel will pull you up. This trick was especially helpful for me, obviously, with this personal best, but also at traction test ground with the donkey. So you'll be able to see the little trick again. But, well, I guess we're just going to look at my run one more time and then I'm going to sign off. This was a fun video style for me. It was nice to just kind of relax and talk about whatever. Let me know what you think. I can't promise I'll do more of these, but maybe I will. Thanks for watching. I'll catch you guys later.